All right, after my attempt at Geometry Dash went so poorly, decided to get into my wheelhouse and do a Regents Geometry Dash. I'm going to try and answer these 24 multiple choice questions as quickly as possible. Check for my mistakes. I'm sure I'll make some because I'm working quickly, and you go ahead and point out my mistakes in the comments. Number 1, on the set of axes below, triangle ABC is graphed, triangle A prime, B prime, C prime, and the doubles are graphed after a sequence of rigid motions. Identify the sequence of motions that map it onto what it needs to do. So we have a reflection across the x-axis first, and then it appears a 90-degree rotation. So reflection followed by rotation. Your answer is number 4. Number 2, the table below shows the population and land area in square miles of 4 counties in New York State. None of those are my county. Which one has the greatest population density? So population divided by area. That looks like it's going to be Niagara, probably, being that it's divided by the smallest number. But I don't have a calculator, so maybe I'm wrong. But I feel pretty good that the answer is number 3. Question number 3. If a rectangle is continuously rotated around one of its sides, what is the 3-dimensional figure formed? Well, that's going to be a cylinder. That one was what was the number on that one? 2. Which transformation carries the parallelogram onto itself? That's going to be a rotation of 180 degrees. That looks like answer number 4. Number 5, after a dilation centered at the origin of CD is C prime, D prime. The coordinates of the endpoints of these segments are those things that we see there. And the scale factor, so let's see, 6 goes to 9, so 1.5 or 3/2 looks like, yeah, should be answer number 1, 3/2. Number 6, a tent is in the shape of a right pyramid with a square floor. The square floor has side lengths of 8 feet. The height of the tent is at its center is 6 feet. What is the volume? So we get 1/3 the base times the height. The base is 8 times 8, 64 times the height of 6. Divided by 3, so 64 times 2, that's 128. Your answer should be number 2. Number 7, the line negative x plus 4y is equal to 8 is transformed by a dilation centered at the origin. Which linear equation could represent this image? It looks like all of our answers are in slope-intercept form. So if I added 3x to both sides and divided by 4, I should have a slope of 3/4. Dilation wouldn't change that. Answer has to be number 2. Question 8, in the diagram below, we have this bow tie shape. Which information is always sufficient to prove that the two things are parallel? Let's see, AB is congruent to CD, would give me sides and angles. I don't think that's it. E is the midpoint of AC, would also give me, so how about AB is congruent to CD, and BE is congruent to DE. That would be enough because you'd have vertical angles. And, oh wait, is that going to give me angle side side? All right, BD and AC bisect each other. That's the winner. That'll give you side angle side congruence. The answer is number 4. The expression sine of 57, that's cosine of 33. What is the volume of the hemisphere that has a diameter of 12.6 centimeters to the nearest tenth of a cubic centimeter? Okay, no calculator. Let's see here. Volume of a hemisphere, that is half a sphere. The diameter is 12.6, so the radius is 6.3. 6.3 squared is going to be about 40, let's say. Oh, I'm not even doing that, though, because it's 4/3 pi r cubed, so really 2/3 pi r cubed. 2/3 of pi is a little bit more than 2 times r cubed. That's going to be like 250-ish. I think the answer is going to be 1. This is one you're definitely going to want to check me on because I don't have a calculator, and I tried to do that real quick. Number 11, in the diagram below, triangle ABC, D is a point on BA, E is a point on BC, and DE is drawn. Okay, if BD is 5, DA is 12, BE is 7, what is the length of BC to make them parallel? All right, BD is 5, DA is 12, BE is 7. And we want them to be parallel, so the side splitter theorem would have to come into play. So 5 is to 12 as 7 is to, it's going to be either answer 2 or 3. Let's see here. 5 is to 12, so that's like 2.4 times that. 2.4 times 7, 14 plus 2.8. Answer should be number 2. Number 12, a quadrilateral must be a parallelogram if one pair of sides is parallel and one pair One pair of sides is congruent and one pair of angles is congruent. I don't think that's enough. One pair of sides is both parallel and congruent. That will prove that it's a parallelogram. Your answer is number 3. Number 13. Okay, we have a couple of chords intersecting. In the diagram below, we have these things. EM is 8 and RM is 15. That product is 120. So the lengths of JM and TM could be... Am I screwing this one up too? It's not about the product. It's about some sort of proportion. This is what I get for trying to work so quickly. So the lengths of J, M, and TM. So it is... Boy, why am I forgetting this? Shoot. All right. We are going to take a guess and go with answer... I think I'm right. I think RM times EM has to equal JM times TM. So whatever multiplies to 120 here, and that would be, let's see, 16 times 7.5, that'd be, no, that's not it, 14 times 8, how about 18 times 6.5? That is 65 plus, nope, that's not going to be it either. What did I say? 8 times 15 is 120. And 14 times 8.5. I really wish I was holding a calculator or I got more sleep last night. Oh, it is 16 times 7.5. All right, answer number 3. I feel pretty good about answer number 3 for number 13. Number 14, triangles Joe and Sam are drawn such that angle E is congruent to angle M and EJ is congruent to MS, which mapping would not always lead to the two things being congruent. So, all right. The last and the first letters, those segments are congruent. Angle E and angle M are congruent. So if J maps onto S, those are corresponding parts. O and A are corresponding parts. E, O, and MA are corresponding parts. J, O, and SA are corresponding. Oh, okay. So they're all corresponding parts. Triangles are drawn. So we have... All right, so I'm probably looking for an angle side-side thing here, which is always funny. So E and M are congruent to each other. That's the last letters. EJ and MS are congruent. So J, O, and SA. Answer should be number 4, I believe. That's another one that's definitely worth checking me on. Comment if I'm wrong. So 14, I'm going with 4, and moving on. Number 15, in triangle ABC shown below, angle that is, ACB is a right angle. E is a point on AC, and ED is drawn perpendicular to the hypotenuse. AB is 9, BC is 6, and DE is 4. What is the length of AE? So we have similar triangles. This would be a good one for redrawing the triangles oriented the same, but I don't have that ability right now. So AB is 9, and BC, so it's like the hypotenuse and the shorter leg are 9 and 6. And the smaller triangle, the shorter leg is 4, so they correspond. So we are looking at like 2/3 of that, so the answer should be 6. The answer is number 2. Number 15 should be 2. Number 16, which equation represents a line parallel to the line whose equation is that thing you see there and passes through the point 1, 3? So adding 2x to both sides and then dividing by 3, we have 2/3 as the slope, so the answer has to either be 2 or 4. Using point slope form, it should be y minus 3 and x minus 1. Your answer to number 16 is number 2. Number 17, in rhombus TIGE, the diagonals TG and IE intersect at R. The perimeter is 68, and the length of TG is 16. What is the length of the diagonal of IE? Okay, TG all the way across is 16. Half of that would be 8. It's a rhombus. The perimeter of the rhombus is 68, so 1/4 of that, which would, be one of those things, is going to be 17, so 8, 17. So 15, using Pythagorean triples, would be the length of ER. So all the way across would be double that. Your answer to number 17 is 2, 30 units. Number 18, circle O. We have two secants, ABP and CDP. They are drawn to external point P. The measure of AC is 72 and BD is 34. What is the measure of angle P? Without a diagram, this is tough. I'm pretty sure this is going to be one of those where it's half the distance of the, or I should say half the difference between the two angle measures. So 72 minus 34 is 38, and half of that is 19. Number 18, we're going to go with answer number 1. Can't wait to check these later and find out how many of them I actually got wrong. Number 19, what are the coordinates of point C on the directed segment from A to B that partitions the segment such that the ratio is 2 to 1? So from negative 8 to 10, that's 18 units. 2/3 of that, 2/3 of 18 is going to be 12. So my x coordinate has to be 4. And yeah, that works. So the answer is number 4, 4,0. Number 20, we have the circle. What are the coordinates and the length of the radius? So the 144 tells me that the radius is going to be 12. And we should have x plus 4 and y minus 6. So -4, +6 should be the radius. So I'm feeling pretty good about answer number 2 for question number 20. Number 21, we have a parallelogram, and it's extended to be a rhombus. If ST and SP are congruent, so we have an isosceles triangle on the end there, the measure of angle R is 130. What is PST? So if R is 130, then SPT would have to be 50, which means T is also 50. That leaves me 80 degrees. The answer to 21 is 2. Number 22, a 12-foot ladder leans against a building and reaches a window 10 feet above ground. What is the measure of the angle to the nearest degree that the ladder forms with the ground? And I don't have a calculator, so I'm going to try and do trigonometry in my head. 12-foot ladder leans against the building. It's 10 feet above ground, so we have a 10 and a 12, and we're trying to find the measure of the angle to the nearest degree that the ladder forms with the ground. So sine of the angle would be 10 over 12. So sine of the angle is like 5/6. Probably 4. I'm just going to say answer number 4. I'm thinking the largest angle possible is probably going to be the right one here. So let's go with 4, 56 degrees. That seems not even big enough, but there are no bigger options. 12-foot ladder reaches 10 feet above the ground. Angle to the nearest degree the ladder forms with the ground. Yeah, it's got to be 3 or 4. So I'm going to go with 4, 56 degrees. Number 23, in the diagram of equilateral triangle ABC shown below, E and F are midpoints of AC and BC respectively. So we got midpoints here. EF is 2x plus 8 and AB is 7x minus 2. What is the perimeter of the trapezoid of that thing that we see here? Okay, so EF is 2x plus 8 and AB is 7x minus 2. So EF has to be half of AB, or I can say AB is half of EF. So, or I should say AB is twice EF. So 7x minus 2 is going to equal 4x plus 16. Let me say that again. 7x minus 2 equals 4x plus 16. Subtracting 4x from each side, I get 3x equals 16. Plus 2 means 3x equals 18. X is equal to 6. Okay. So if x is 6, then EF is going to be 20. And AB will be 40. So the two of those together is 60. And it's the perimeter of the entire trapezoid. So it's not answers 1 or 2. How are we going to find the rest of it? It's an equilateral triangle. Okay, so what did I say the base was? 40. So then EA and FB would also have to be 20 each. So I said 60 plus 40, that's 100. Answer to 23 is number 3. Finally, which information is not sufficient to prove that a parallelogram is a square? If the diagonals are congruent and perpendicular, that's a square. The diagonals are congruent and one pair of adjacent sides are congruent. I don't think that is sufficient. That to me seems like a rectangle, but let's check the other answers. Excuse me. The diagonals are perpendicular and one pair of adjacent sides is congruent. So we got perpendicular And yes, adjacent sides congruent. Okay, so that would have to be a square. The diagonals are perpendicular, and one pair of adjacent sides are also perpendicular. Yep, all right. So 24, I'm locking in answer number 2. Woo! I dashed through that. I think my son would call that a grandpa demon for the real Geometry Dash. So go ahead and check my work. I'm going to check my work. I will probably post anything that I find when I get around to looking this over, whatever questions I got wrong. And who knows, maybe I got lucky. Maybe I went 24 for 24. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this at least a little bit. And if you did, please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.